The Genesis Protocol. Commander Sarah Chin stood at the observation deck of the Terran Defense Initiative's headquarters, watching as the latest batch of recruits filed into the underground training facility. The year was 2157, and humanity had learned the hard way that they weren't alone in the universe. More importantly, they discovered they were living on what other species classified as a Deathworld. "Status report on the new candidates," she asked, not turning away from the reinforced plasma glass. Dr. Marcus Rodriguez, the lead geneticist of the Genesis Protocol, cleared his throat before responding. 28 candidates from 12 nations, Commander. Each one represents the apex of their respective military programs. The Americans brought in 4 Delta Force operators, the Russians contributed 3 Spetsnaz, and the Chinese sent their top SSF operatives. Sarah finally turned, her cybernetically enhanced eyes scanning the holographic data floating between them. The candidates' biological markers were impressive, even by Deathworld standards. But they would need to be more than impressive to survive what was coming. And the others? 2 from Britain's SAS, 3 Israeli Shayatet 13, 2 German KSK, 3 Indian Para Commandos, 2 Australian SASR, 3 Brazilian Grumek, 2 Canadian JTF-2, 2 Polish GROM, and 2 South African Recce's. Marcus scrolled through the detailed profiles. Each one has been thoroughly vetted and meets the baseline requirements for the augmentation process. Sarah remembered her own transformation 5 years ago. The Genesis Protocol had been in its infancy then, but even those early augmentations had turned her into something that made their alien allies nervous. Now, with refined techniques and advanced biotechnology, these new candidates would become something unprecedented. "Have they been briefed on the Shry incident?" Marcus nodded grimly. Full disclosure was part of the screening process. They know what happened to Dubai when the Kron attempted their first invasion. They understand what we're up against. The memory of Dubai's destruction was still fresh in humanity's collective consciousness. The Kron, a hostile insectoid species, had believed Earth would be an easy conquest. They hadn't counted on humanity's unique evolutionary advantages or their desperate creativity in combat. But while humanity had repelled the initial invasion, it had come at a terrible cost. "Begin Phase 1, Sarah ordered, activating her neural link to the facility's mainframe. "I want baseline stress tests completed by 0600 tomorrow. We'll start genetic optimization immediately after." The first recruits were already entering the medical bay, where teams of surgeons and biotechnology specialists waited to begin the transformation process. Each nation had contributed its own innovations to the Genesis Protocol: American muscle density enhancement, Russian bone reinforcement techniques, Chinese neural acceleration, Israeli pain suppression systems, German metabolic optimizers, and more. "Commander," Marcus called out as Sarah turned to leave. "There's something else you should know. The Shry Commonwealth has requested observer status for this training cycle. They're concerned about the rate of our military evolution." Sarah allowed herself a small smile. The Shry, despite being one of the more militant spacefaring species, had been shocked by humanity's rapid advancement in combat technologies. In just 5 years since first contact, humans had gone from being viewed as primitive Deathworlders to being recognized as a serious military power. "Grant their request," she said after a moment's consideration. "Let them watch. It's important they understand what they're dealing with." As she walked through the facility's corridors, Sarah's enhanced hearing picked up conversations in dozens of languages. The Genesis Protocol had united Earth's military powers in a way that centuries of diplomacy had failed to achieve. Facing extinction had a way of putting old rivalries into perspective. In the medical bay, she paused to watch as the first candidate was prepared for the initial augmentation procedure. Captain James Morrison, former Delta Force, lay perfectly still as medical nanites were introduced into his bloodstream. The tiny machines would begin optimizing his cellular structure, preparing his body for the more extensive modifications to come. "Your vital signs are remarkably stable, Captain," the attending physician noted. Most candidates show at least some anxiety at this stage. Morrison's response was characteristic of why he'd been selected. "Ma'am, I've spent my entire career preparing to defend Earth. The fact that the battlefield has expanded to include other planets doesn't change the mission." Sarah accessed his file through her neural link. Morrison had been present during the Battle of Dubai, commanding one of the few units that had successfully engaged Kron warriors in direct combat. His after-action report had been instrumental in developing several of the protocols now used in anti-Kron warfare. The next few weeks would transform these elite soldiers into something beyond peak human capability. They would become faster, stronger, and more resilient than any natural human could hope to be. Their bones would be reinforced with carbon nanotubes and bioorganic titanium alloys. Their muscles would be enhanced with synthetic fiber interfaces that could generate 10 times the force of natural muscle tissue. Their neural pathways would be optimized and accelerated, allowing them to process information and react at speeds that would appear supernatural to baseline humans. But more importantly, they would retain the qualities that made human warriors uniquely terrifying to their alien adversaries: adaptability, creativity, and an almost pathological ability to continue fighting long past the point where most species would have surrendered to death. Sarah's comm unit chimed with an incoming priority message. The HFY observers had arrived earlier than expected, and their reaction to the facility was exactly what she'd anticipated. The insectoid aliens were simultaneously fascinated and horrified by humanity's approach to creating elite warriors. "Inform our guests that they're welcome to observe tomorrow's baseline trials," she instructed her AI assistant. "And make sure they understand that what they're about to witness is just the beginning." As she headed to her office to prepare for the next day's demonstrations, Sarah reflected on how far humanity had come since first contact. The aliens had expected to find primitive savages struggling to survive on a hostile world. Instead, they discovered a species that had not only mastered their deadly environment but had turned the very challenges of their evolution into advantages. The Genesis Protocol was more than just a military program, it was humanity's statement to the galaxy. They would not be conquered. They would not be subjugated. And any species that made the mistake of underestimating Earth's warriors would learn a harsh lesson about evolution on a Deathworld. In the medical bay behind her, the first phase of transformations continued. 28 of Earth's finest warriors were beginning their journey to become something new. Something that would make even the most aggressive species in known space think twice about challenging humanity's place among the stars. The Genesis Protocol had begun, and the galaxy would never be the same. Metamorphosis. The screams echoing through the medical bay weren't what disturbed the HFY observers, it was the complete lack of them. Captain James Morrison lay on the operating table, fully conscious as nanomachines rewrote his cellular structure, and he hadn't made a sound. "Impossible," chittered Senior Observer Kral TX, his antennae twitching in agitation. The pain threshold alone should have induced unconsciousness. Commander Sarah Chen watched the proceedings through the observation window, her augmented eyes recording every detail. "Pain suppression isn't just about blocking nerve signals," she explained. "It's about embracing the pain, understanding it, using it. That's something our species learned long before we reached the stars." The transformation process had entered its second week, and the results were already exceeding expectations. The human candidates weren't just surviving the procedures, they were thriving on them. In the adjacent chamber, Lieutenant Anna Kovac of the Polish GROM was undergoing the neural acceleration procedure. Microscopic quantum processors were being integrated with her natural neural pathways, allowing her brain to process information at speeds that would make a supercomputer jealous. "Your species continues to confound our understanding," admitted Kral TX. "When we first discovered Earth, we classified it as a Class 12 Deathworld. By all known scientific metrics, intelligent life shouldn't have evolved there at all. Yet here you are, not just surviving but deliberately making yourselves even more formidable." Sarah's attention was drawn to the biological monitoring displays. Morrison's muscle density had already increased by 300%, and his skeletal structure was showing perfect integration with the new reinforcement materials. But it was his brain activity that truly stood out, patterns that shouldn't have been possible in a conscious being. "Tell me, Observer Kral TX," she said, turning to face the towering insectoid alien, "why did the HFY Commonwealth really request to observe this process? We both know it wasn't out of scientific curiosity." The alien's compound eyes reflected the harsh medical bay lighting as he considered his response. "The Kron are moving again," he finally admitted. "Their defeat at Dubai was unexpected. They've spent the last 5 years studying human combat footage, adapting their strategies. They believe they've found weaknesses to exploit." Sarah allowed herself a grim smile. "They're not the only ones who've been studying. In the training simulator adjacent to the medical bay, the first group of completed candidates was already putting their enhancements to the test. Lieutenant Commander Rajesh Patel, formerly of India's Para Commandos, moved through the holographic battlefield with impossible grace. His enhanced muscles and reinforced skeleton allowed him to leap 15 meters straight up, while his accelerated neural processes let him track and eliminate targets faster than the simulator could generate them. "Remarkable," Kral TX observed. "But surely such modifications come at a cost. The energy requirements alone." "That's where the German metabolic optimizers come in," Sarah explained, pulling up the relevant data on a holographic display. "Enhanced mitochondrial function, improved oxygen utilization, and a completely redesigned digestive system. They can operate at peak performance for days without rest or sustenance." The alien's antennae twitched again, this time in what Sarah had learned to recognize as fear. "You're creating perfect warriors." "No," Sarah corrected, watching as Morrison's transformation entered its final phase. "We're creating human warriors. There's a difference." In the recovery ward, the first fully completed candidates were already beginning advanced training. The various national military traditions weren't being erased, they were being enhanced, combined in ways that created something entirely new. American close-quarters combat techniques merged seamlessly with Russian battlefield psychology and Chinese strategic doctrine. "The Kron believe they can exploit our weaknesses," Sarah continued, "but they're still thinking in terms of conventional warfare. They don't understand what we're building here." A commotion in the training simulator drew their attention. Lieutenant Sofia Torres, one of the Brazilian Grumec operators, had just broken every previous record in the urban combat scenario. The holographic replay showed her moving through the simulated cityscape like a force of nature, her enhanced body and mind working in perfect harmony. "Your species continues to evolve at an alarming rate," Kral TX noted. The HFY Commonwealth's military analysts estimate that within 10 years, Earth's enhanced warriors will be capable of challenging any force in known space. Sarah's neural link pinged with an incoming priority alert. Long-range sensors had detected multiple Kron vessels entering the solar system. They were still beyond Mars' orbit, but their trajectory was clear, they were heading for Earth. "They won't wait 10 years, she said, already sending orders through her neural interface. "The Kron are coming now. They want to stop the Genesis protocol before it can reach its full potential." Throughout the facility, alerts began sounding. The candidates who had completed their transformations were immediately moved to combat readiness status. Those still undergoing the process would have to be accelerated, dangerous, but necessary. "You knew this would happen," Kral TX realized. The Genesis protocol wasn't just about creating enhanced warriors, it was bait. Sarah nodded. "The Kron are predictable in their arrogance. They couldn't resist the opportunity to strike while they thought we were vulnerable. What they don't realize is that every aspect of this facility, every detail they've been allowed to observe, has been carefully calculated to draw them in." In the medical bay, Morrison sat up, his transformation complete. His eyes, now featuring the same cybernetic enhancements as Sarah's, focused immediately on the tactical displays showing the approaching Kron fleet. "Time to test the improvements," he said, his voice steady despite the incredible changes his body had just undergone. Permission to demonstrate our new capabilities, Commander. Sarah's smile was predatory. Permission granted, Captain. Show our observers why Earth's warriors are feared across the galaxy. As the enhanced soldiers prepared for humanity's first proactive engagement with an alien threat, Sarah turned back to Kral TX. You should stay to watch, she suggested. What happens next will redefine interstellar warfare. The HFY observer's posture indicated both fear and fascination. The Kron don't know what they're walking into, do they? No, Sarah agreed, watching as her enhanced warriors moved with inhuman precision through their pre-combat preparations. But they're about to learn why you don't challenge soldiers who evolved on a Deathworld. Throughout the facility, 28 of the deadliest warriors humanity had ever produced prepared for battle. Their enhanced bodies housed the combined military knowledge of Earth's most elite fighting forces, augmented by technology that pushed the boundaries of what was thought possible. The Kron were coming, believing they would find a vulnerable target. Instead, they would face something unprecedented, human ingenuity combined with post-human capabilities, driven by the unrelenting determination that had allowed humanity to survive and thrive on their deadly homeworld. The Genesis Protocol wasn't just creating soldiers. It was creating the next step in human evolution, and the galaxy was about to witness its first demonstration. First strike. Mars Station Olympus erupted in chaos as the first Kron drop pods pierced the dome. Emergency force fields snapped into place, preventing atmospheric loss, but the damage was done. The enemy had gained their first foothold in the Sol system. Multiple breaches detected in sectors 7 through 12, the station's AI reported. Kron warrior caste signatures detected. Estimated numbers, 300 and rising. Captain James Morrison stood in the station's central command hub, his enhanced vision processing multiple tactical feeds simultaneously. Beside him, Lieutenant Anna Kovac and Lieutenant Commander Rajesh Patel were already moving, their augmented bodies flowing like liquid metal through the crowded emergency evacuation routes. They're testing us, Morrison commented, his neural processors analyzing enemy movement patterns. This isn't their main force. Through his quantum-encrypted neural link, Commander Sarah Chen's voice came through with crystal clarity. Agreed. Our long-range sensors show their main fleet holding position behind Phobos. This is a probing attack. They want to assess the effectiveness of the Genesis Protocol firsthand. Then let's give them a demonstration they won't forget, Morrison replied, signaling his team to move out. The 28 enhanced warriors had been strategically distributed throughout the Sol system's key defensive positions. 8 were stationed on Mars, including Morrison's strike team. Their deployment hadn't been random, everything about their positioning had been calculated to draw the Kron into a carefully planned series of engagements. As Morrison's team moved through the station's corridors, their enhanced senses provided a level of battlefield awareness that would have been impossible for unmodified humans. They could hear the distinctive clicking of Kron mandibles through 3 layers of reinforced walls, smell the alien pheromones used for tactical coordination, and their augmented vision could track thermal signatures through solid objects. Contact in 3, Kovac announced, her neural accelerators already plotting optimal firing solutions. They're using their standard HiveMind tactical network. Permission to initiate electronic warfare protocols. Morrison smiled. The Kron's greatest strength, their HiveMind combat coordination, was about to become their greatest weakness. Execute. Kovac's neural implants interfaced directly with the station's systems, launching a cyber attack that the Kron had never encountered before. Their HiveMind tactical network was sophisticated, but it had never been designed to defend against an attack coming from a hybrid human-AI consciousness. The effect was immediate and devastating. The Kron warriors, used to operating with perfect coordination, suddenly found their neural links corrupted with contradictory data. Some froze in place, while others began moving in random directions, their synchronized attack pattern dissolving into chaos. Breach point secured, Patel reported, his enhanced muscles allowing him to easily shift a fallen support beam that would have required a mechanical lift for an unmodified human. They're trying to adapt their communication protocols. Estimated time until they establish a new network, 47 seconds. They won't get 47 seconds, Morrison replied, activating his combat systems. The enhanced warriors moved like nothing the galaxy had ever seen before. Their movements were too fast for unaugmented human eyes to track, their enhanced muscles and reinforced bones allowing them to perform feats that seemed to defy physics. They didn't just fight the Kron, they systematically dismantled them. Morrison's team had trained extensively in anti-Kron combat tactics, but now, with their enhanced capabilities, they could execute strategies that would have been impossible before. They used their superior speed and strength not just to overpower the aliens, but to outthink them. Through the station's security feeds, observer Krau TX watched in stunned silence from the secure command center on Earth. By the first queen, the Shri diplomat chittered, "What have you created?" Commander Chen, standing beside him, monitored the tactical displays with professional detachment. "We've created exactly what we needed to, warriors capable of defending not just Earth, but humanity's place in the galaxy." On Mars Station Olympus, the battle continued to unfold with brutal efficiency. The enhanced warriors moved through the Kron forces like a force of nature, their augmented bodies and accelerated minds working in perfect harmony. They didn't just match the alien strength, they exceeded it in ways that the Kron's tactical algorithms couldn't process. "Main engineering secured," Kovac reported, her voice steady despite moving at speeds that would have torn unmodified human muscles apart. "Their attempt to sabotage the reactor has been neutralized. Interesting side note, their carapace armor is significantly weaker against lateral strikes than our previous intelligence suggested." Morrison filed that information away, knowing it would be instantly shared with all enhanced warriors through their neural network. Unlike the Kron's rigid hive mind, human tactical networking was adaptive, allowing for real-time learning and strategy adjustment. "Multiple Kron dropships attempting emergency extraction," Patel announced. "They're breaking off the attack much earlier than projected." "Let them go," Morrison ordered, understanding the strategic value of allowing some enemies to escape. "They need to report what they've seen here." The retreat was as chaotic as it was rapid. The Kron, for the first time in their species' history, found themselves completely outmatched not just technologically or tactically, but physically. Their warrior caste, bred for combat over countless generations, had just been systematically defeated by creatures they had dismissed as primitive Deathworlders just a few years ago. As the last Kron dropship fled the station, Morrison's team began assist with recovery operations. Their enhanced strength and precision made them as effective at repairs as they were at combat, and within hours, Mars Station Olympus was back to operational status. "After-action analysis is coming in," Commander Chen's voice reported through their neural links. "The Kron lost 273 warriors in under 15 minutes. No enhanced warrior casualties. Structural damage to the station is minimal, and civilian casualties were prevented entirely. They'll be back," Morrison noted, his tactical processors already analyzing likely enemy responses. "This was just the first wave. They'll adapt their strategies, try to find weaknesses in our enhanced capabilities." "Let them try," Chen replied, and Morrison could hear the satisfaction in her voice. "Every engagement gives us more data, more opportunities to improve. The Genesis protocol isn't just about physical enhancement, it's about continuous evolution." In Earth's secure command center, observer Krau TX turned to Commander Chen. "The Shri Commonwealth will need to reassess its strategic policies regarding Earth," the alien admitted. "What we've witnessed today, it changes everything." "That was the point," Chen responded. "The galaxy needed to understand that humanity isn't just another spacefaring species. We're what happens when you take creatures who evolved on a death world and give them the tools to reach their full potential." As the enhanced warriors continued their recovery operations on Mars, the main Kron fleet began to pull back from their positions near Phobos. Their first attempt to challenge the Genesis protocol had failed spectacularly, but everyone knew this was just the beginning. The real war was coming, and humanity's enhanced warriors would be ready. They had demonstrated their capabilities in this first engagement, but they had barely scratched the surface of what they could do. The Genesis Protocol had transformed them into something unprecedented in the galaxy, warriors who combined human adaptability and creativity with post-human physical capabilities. The message to the galaxy was clear: Earth's warriors were no longer just survivors of a death world. They had become something more, something that would reshape the balance of power among the stars. And this was only the beginning. Shift. The Grand Council chamber of the Galactic Concordat fell silent as the holographic replay of the Mars station battle concluded. Representatives from 17 spacefaring species sat in stunned silence, their various biological displays of shock and awe creating a symphony of rustling, clicking, and phosphorescent flashing. Ambassador Helena Vasquez, Earth's first representative to the Concordat, stood calmly at the center of the chamber. Her own Genesis Protocol enhancements were subtle, diplomatic variants focused on neural processing and pheromone control rather than combat capabilities, but no less effective. As you can see, she addressed the assembly. Humanity's response to the unprovoked Kron aggression was both measured and appropriate. We seek peaceful coexistence with all species, but we will defend ourselves when necessary. High Speaker Zyxtal, the crystalline being who led the Concordat Security Council, shifted colors in what Helena's enhanced senses recognized as agitation. Measured, the crystal matrix chimed. Your enhanced warriors decimated an entire Kron battle group in minutes. The level of technological and biological advancement displayed exceeds anything in our records. That's because you've been measuring advancement by the wrong metrics, Helena replied, activating a new holographic display. You've all classified Earth as a death world, assuming that such an environment would produce only primitive, violence-prone species. What you fail to understand is that surviving on a death world requires more than just physical capability. It demands innovation, adaptation, and most importantly, restraint. Back on Earth, Commander Sarah Chen was conducting a very different kind of meeting. The Genesis Protocol's success had attracted attention from every corner of human society. Corporations, governments, and private citizens were all clamoring for access to the enhancement technology. Absolutely not, she told the assembled panel of political leaders. The Genesis Protocol isn't a consumer product. It's not even purely military technology. What we're doing here is guiding human evolution itself. The public has a right, began one politician, but Chen cut him off. The public has a right to security and survival, which is exactly what we're providing. Did you watch the Mars station footage? Those 28 warriors didn't just defend against an alien invasion, they changed the fundamental balance of power in the galaxy. In orbit above Earth, Captain James Morrison and his team were overseeing the installation of new defensive systems. Their enhanced capabilities made them perfect for space construction work. Their reinforced bodies could handle vacuum exposure far better than standard spacesuits, and their accelerated neural processing allowed them to perform complex calculations on the fly. Multiple ships dropping out of FTL, Lieutenant Kovac reported through their neural link. Signatures match. Shry vessels. A lot of them. Morrison's enhanced vision zoomed in on the arriving fleet. Interesting timing. The Concordat meeting must have concluded. The Shry fleet took up position at a respectful distance, and a transmission came through on diplomatic channels. Observer Kral TX's familiar chittering filled their neural comms. Captain Morrison, the Shry diplomat began, I bring word from the Commonwealth High Command. We would like to formally request a military alliance with Earth. Morrison shared a knowing look with his team. This was exactly the response Commander Chen had predicted. The Shry, being a militant species themselves, would be the first to recognize the strategic value of aligning with humanity. Your request will be forwarded to appropriate channels, Morrison replied diplomatically. Though I'm curious, why bring an entire battle fleet just to deliver a message? Insurance, Kral TX admitted. The Kron are mobilizing their full military might. Our intelligence suggests they're preparing for a massive assault on the Sol system. They've convinced several other species to join them, arguing that humanity's rapid advancement poses a threat to galactic stability. In the Concordat chamber, Helena was addressing similar concerns. The Genesis Protocol isn't about domination, she explained to the assembled representatives. It's about survival and balance. Humanity has no interest in conquest, we simply refuse to be conquered. Yet these enhanced warriors, High Speaker Zyxtal chimed, they represent power beyond anything we've seen. How can we be certain this power won't be misused? Helena's enhanced mind processed dozens of potential responses, calculating the diplomatic impact of each. She settled on the truth. Because we understand something that the Kron and their allies don't, she said. True power isn't about domination, it's about protection. Every enhanced warrior undergoes not just physical transformation, but psychological evaluation and ethical conditioning. We're not creating mindless soldiers, we're creating guardians. Back on Earth, Commander Chen received the preliminary reports from both the Concordat meeting and the HFY diplomatic overture. Everything was proceeding according to projections. The Genesis Protocol wasn't just changing individual warriors, it was reshaping the entire galactic political landscape. Begin Phase 2, she ordered through her neural link. The command went out to all enhanced warriors simultaneously. The Kron are gathering allies for their next attack. It's time we showed the galaxy what humanity's defenders can really do. Throughout the Sol system, the 28 enhanced warriors began implementing long-prepared contingency plans. Their neural networks coordinated with perfect efficiency, each warrior understanding their role in the larger strategy. Morrison's team started deploying the new defensive systems they'd been installing, technology that integrated human innovation with their enhanced capabilities in ways that would reshape space warfare. Kovac's cyber warfare protocols were expanded to cover the entire system, creating a defensive network that could adapt and evolve in real time. In diplomatic chambers and military command centers across the galaxy, the message was becoming clear: humanity's enhanced warriors weren't just powerful individuals, they were the vanguard of a new era in galactic civilization. The Kron and their allies were gathering for what they believed would be a decisive strike against Earth. They didn't understand that every move they made had been anticipated, every strategy they developed had been countered before they even conceived it. The Genesis Protocol had created something unprecedented, warriors who combined the physical capabilities of post-human enhancement with the strategic genius of humanity's most elite military minds. But more than that, it had created defenders who understood that true strength lay not in the ability to destroy, but in the power to protect. As the galaxy held its breath for the coming conflict, Earth's enhanced warriors prepared to demonstrate why their species had not just survived on a Deathworld, but had emerged from it ready to take their place among the stars. The next phase of human evolution was about to begin, and the galaxy would never be the same. Evolution's edge. The void between Mars and Jupiter erupted with energy as the largest fleet ever assembled in the Sol system dropped out of FTL. 5,000 Kron warships, accompanied by vessels from 6 other species who had joined their crusade against humanity, filled space with a display of force meant to overwhelm any defense. In Earth's Strategic Command, Commander Sarah Chen watched the tactical hologram with enhanced calm. Right on schedule, she noted, her neural processors already executing pre-planned responses. Status of the Genesis Protocol warriors. All 28 enhanced operators are in position, her AI assistant reported. The HFY fleet has taken up defensive positions as agreed, and the quantum entanglement communication network is fully operational. The Kron had spent months gathering allies, convincing other species that humanity's rapid military evolution represented an existential threat to galactic stability. They didn't realize they were playing directly into humanity's hands. Captain James Morrison stood on the bridge of the newly commissioned TDS Prometheus, Earth's first warship designed specifically to be operated by enhanced warriors. His team had trained for this moment, pushing their augmented capabilities to limits that would have seemed impossible just months ago. Multiple targeting locks detected, Lieutenant Anna Kovac reported, her consciousness merged with the ship's systems. They're using a new type of quantum-guided weaponry. Attempting to analyze. Let them make the first move, Morrison ordered, remembering Commander Chen's strategy. Everything depends on timing. In the Galactic Concordat's emergency session, Ambassador Helena Vasquez stood before the assembled representatives. The chamber's holographic displays showed the massive fleet approaching Earth in real time. "What you are about to witness," she announced, her enhanced diplomatic capabilities reading every subtle reaction in the chamber, "is not just a battle. It is a demonstration of why humanity's approach to warfare is fundamentally different from anything the galaxy has seen before." The Kron fleet launched its first strike, a coordinated barrage of quantum torpedoes and plasma lances that lit up space like artificial suns. For a moment, it seemed that nothing could survive such an overwhelming assault. Then humanity revealed its true capabilities. The 28 enhanced warriors, spread throughout the Sol system in specially designed vessels and battle stations, activated their neural links simultaneously. Their consciousness expanded, joining with each other in their ship systems in a way that made the Kron hive mind look primitive by comparison. "Execute Protocol Omega," Commander Chen ordered, and everything changed. The defensive systems that Morrison's team had been installing weren't just weapons or shields, they were components of something much larger. As the enhanced warriors joined their minds and their technology, the entire Sol system became a single, integrated defense network. Quantum fields shifted, redirecting the Kron weapons with impossible precision. Space itself seemed to twist as human innovations in physics, guided by enhanced consciousness, rewrote the rules of combat. By the first queen, observer Kral TX whispered from his position on the HFY flagship. "They've turned the entire system into a weapon." The enhanced warriors moved their ships in perfect coordination, each vessel becoming an extension of their augmented capabilities. They didn't just fight the enemy fleet, they conducted a symphony of destruction with surgical precision. Lieutenant Commander Rajesh Patel, operating from Ganymede Station, launched the next phase. The cyber warfare protocols they developed after the Mars Station battle expanded through space, invading enemy systems with viral code that evolved faster than any defense could adapt. "Their quantum targeting systems are compromised," Kovac reported, her consciousness still merged with the Prometheus's systems. Initiating Protocol Epsilon. The enhanced warriors had spent months preparing for this moment, developing strategies that leveraged not just their individual capabilities, but their ability to work together in ways no natural species could match. They didn't need a hive mind, they had something better. They had human creativity and adaptability combined with post-human processing power. In the Concordat chamber, the alien representatives watched in stunned silence as humanity's defenders systematically dismantled the largest invasion fleet ever assembled. It wasn't just the technology or the enhanced capabilities that shocked them, it was the precision, the control, the absolute mastery over the chaos of space combat. "This is why we evolved on a Deathworld," Ambassador Vasquez explained to the chamber. "Not just to be stronger or faster, but to understand that true power comes from adaptation and cooperation. The Genesis Protocol didn't just enhance our warriors physically, it gave them the ability to demonstrate humanity's greatest strengths on a galactic scale." The battle reached its climax as the enhanced warriors executed their final maneuver. The quantum fields they had been manipulating collapsed inward, creating a cascading effect that trapped the enemy fleet in a web of distorted spacetime. To all vessels, Morrison broadcast on all frequencies, his enhanced voice carrying authority that transcended species barriers. "Your weapons are disabled, your engines are contained, and your communication systems are under our control. Surrender, and we guarantee your safe return home. Resist, and we will be forced to demonstrate capabilities that none of us wish to employ." In the silence that followed, Commander Chen allowed herself a small smile. The Genesis Protocol had achieved exactly what it was designed to do, not just create superior warriors, but demonstrate why humanity's approach to warfare was fundamentally different. The Kron fleet, for the first time in their species' history, transmitted surrender codes. Their allies followed suit, their sensors telling them everything they needed to know about their situation. In the Concordat chamber, High Speaker Zewextal's crystalline form resonated with what Helena's enhanced senses recognized as awe. It seems, the leader chimed, that we must reassess everything we thought we knew about Deathworld species. Humanity has not just proven its right to exist among the stars, it has shown us a new path forward. As the enhanced warriors began the process of securing the surrendered fleet, Commander Chen addressed all of them through their neural link. The Genesis Protocol was never about creating super soldiers, she reminded them. It was about showing the galaxy that humanity's greatest weapon isn't our strength or our technology, it's our ability to transform our greatest challenges into advantages. Throughout the Sol system, 28 enhanced warriors maintained their vigilance, their augmented bodies and accelerated minds working in perfect harmony. They had just changed the course of galactic history, not through overwhelming force, but through the controlled application of humanity's unique capabilities. The message to the galaxy was clear: Earth's warriors weren't just survivors of a death world, they were guardians of a new era in galactic civilization. The Genesis Protocol hadn't just enhanced human capabilities, it had demonstrated why humanity's evolution on a death world made them uniquely suited to shepherd the galaxy toward a better future. As the dust settled on humanity's greatest victory, the enhanced warriors prepared for their next challenge. The galaxy was changing, and they would be at the forefront of that change, not as conquerors, but as protectors, guides, and living proof that evolution on a death world produced more than just survivors. It produced heroes.